Welcome back to another episode of the Pain, Performance, and Pohana podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Smith. I'm a licensed physical therapist and strength coach for Jiu Jitsu and other combat athletes. Today's episode is all about creatine. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, I'm a big advocate for creatine. And the reason for that is creatine is the most research supplement on the planet. There are no more research conducted on a single supplement other than what you're looking at right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, in front of me I have various forms of creatine that my favorite brand, Legion, offers. And today's episode I want to discuss how does creatine work at the molecular level, and then also some practical applications of what the research has shown to be so helpful in regards to performance for jiu-jitsu, cognition, and various other things. And then I want to talk about the different types that are out there, what's worth it, what's not, and kind of debunk some of the BS that's out there. And then I also want to talk about dosing. How much should you be taking as an athlete? What some of the current research is actually saying. And that way you guys, if you're not taking it, it's time to jump on the train, baby. Get swole. So let's start off first and talk about what the heck creatine is. When it comes to producing muscular contractions in the body, anything that we're doing from lifting, we can be doing jiu-jitsu, there's isometric contractions. Our body is in need of ATP. That energy source comes from various things that we eat. And when we use up the ATP, the T, tri, is broken down into ADP, or di. So there's two. What creatine does is it attaches to that residual ADP, making it ATP again. As a result of that, our body is able to put out more energy. We're able to contract our muscles for longer periods of time. Now, that's what it does at the molecular level. Not super, so there's other people who can explain it far better than me, but that's the gist of it. So basically, your energy system, to be able to produce muscular contractions, it breaks down the byproduct of that, then attaches to creatine, creating more energy, therefore sustaining longer strength, longer endurance. Now, this creatine can actually be found in normal products. You don't necessarily need supplementation. If you're somebody who consumes, 2 pounds of red meat, a day, this probably won't be that helpful for you. For those of you who don't eat that much red meat, maybe you're vegan or maybe you prefer leaner meats, you would probably benefit from this. Now, I don't want to give off the idea that creatine is like this supercharged, like amazing thing that's going to really put you over the edge. But if you are somebody who is doing all of the right things, you are eating well, trying to maximize your protein, your macronutrients, your micronutrients, your vitamins. If you are training, strength training a couple times a week, hitting muscle groups, 3 to 4 sets of, 5 to 15 reps, a couple times a week. You're training jiu-jitsu several times a week. You're getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night. Those are the things you need to focus on first. Creatine is not going to be the thing that can just tell those other things to fuck off and replace them. It's not a replacement. It is truly what it's called, a supplement. So prioritizing the majors. Don't major in the minors. Supplements are a minor. But if you are doing those other things already and doing them well, creatine can be a nice little addition to enhance those things, make those things better. Always prioritize the other things first. With that being said, creatine has been shown to have other benefits other than just for strength training. So yes, it's going to give you additional energy to train. It has shown to be helpful in bone density, So if you are older and you have risk of osteoporosis, it's a great thing to add in. Since we're in the sport of breaking bones and joints, it can be helpful for that as well. It will also help with muscular endurance, as I said, being able to do sustain effort for longer periods of time. They've also shown that creatine is helpful for cognition. They've noticed that they've been supplementing it in older adults, and they found that there are cognitive benefits for focus and being able to perform tasks, which is awesome. We're in a sport where we need to be very present. It's another added bonus. The only side effect that is, this is one of the safest things to take, but there are some cases if you have any kind of preconceived kidney disease, additional creatine can put additional stress on the kidneys. So if you do have a predisposed kidney problem, if you're pregnant, if you have a liver issue, I would definitely consult your doctor before supplementing this. This is not medical advice, just this is what the research says and what I advocate for my patients. But those are like the most immediate and scary red flags to consider. If you got a creatine or if you have a kidney problem, probably stay away from this, but talk to your doctors anyway. Now, creatine comes in several different forms. The one that you need to focus on is creatine monohydrate. Focus on that one. That's the one that's the most researched. It's the most affordable. It is the cheapest version. There are supplement companies who really try to advocate for other variations of creatine, creatine hydrochloride. There's various types. I'm not going to get into all of them. It's a way for them to market and sell you something that doesn't work as well or doesn't work better, and it costs more. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I am sitting in front of 3 different variations that Legion offers, which is really cool. When they first started, they started with just powder. I'm a big powder guy. That's what most people use. But as we've evolved as species, now we're looking at gummies, and I also have capsules. So if you're somebody who already takes like a multivitamin, capsules might be the way to go. If you're somebody who just like needs something to remind you, gummies, kind of nice. Just kind of pop a few in, do it out throughout the day. I personally am a powder guy. I have my system, and my system is I just throw my creatine in with my coffee. Now, something to note. Creatine does denature with caffeine, so I do add a little bit more, but that's just my habit. I make protein coffee every single morning before I lift or train Jiu Jitsu. I throw scoops of creatine in there. That way it's done. That's my habit, and that's the system that works for me. And that's most importantly what I want to talk about in terms of supplementation. Taking it and having a system to where you can take it every single day essentially is what's most important. So it does not matter if you want to take the powder. It doesn't matter if you want to take the gummies. It doesn't matter if you want to take the capsules. It's finding a system that works for you, that you can take day in, day out, and be done with it. So whatever that one is, whatever's the most sexy for you, whatever would be most easily interjected into your routine, that's the one that I recommend for you. Like I said, powders work for me. But sometimes I like to enjoy the gummies too, and the capsules are easy. I have a little stack of things that I take between my multivitamin, my omega-3s. You could throw this in here, very, very easy. So if you have options, at the end of in the show notes, I will add links to all these things. So if you want to check them out, you can pick one that works for you. Now, in terms of amount, there are kind of 2 different trains of thought on this, where you can have a little bit more of like an excessive loading phase where you take a lot in the beginning. That way you can basically put it into you saturate your muscles with it early. Or you can just take the normal amount and it'll take a little bit longer. Both are fine. Some people do have gastrointestinal distress problems with taking too much creatine, especially if they haven't taken it before. It can give them a little bit of the bubble guts. So be wary if you are going to decide to superload it. If you start shitting your pants, it's normal. The ideal is to be able to take as much as you can, up to about, general recommendations, about 3 to 5 grams a day. So for the gummies here, for the Legion one, that basically means 5 gummies. Each gummy has 1 gram. A scoop of this is 5, and I believe, so 6 of the capsules for these are 5 grams. I haven't cracked this one open yet. I'm a powder guy, as I mentioned. So being able to take 3 to 5 grams is ideally. So, Legion, their whole thing is making sure they have efficacious doses. Efficacious doses is 5 grams. Everything you see here is based on 5 grams. So that's how you can take it a lot of different ways. The powder tends to be the most affordable. You can get a ton of it. There's a lot of servings in here. It goes the furthest. In this particular one, you have 60 servings, and I want to say it's less than $30. So very, 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 very affordable to have the powder. So with taking the 3 to 5 grams, if you can do that day in, day out within a couple weeks, you're going to be fully saturated. You could, like I said, take more, but it's up to you. I'm not going to get into that protocol. I think that's a little bit more advanced. In terms of research, although I have said 3 to 5 grams, there is some research to show now where if you're maybe a little bit heavier, so maybe you're somebody who has taken creatine, I don't really see the benefits of it. Not really. And this is something that I actually noticed, especially as I got into more of the high calorie weight classes. I really didn't notice any significant changes with taking creatine. And then I started to see some of the research that improved, showing the recommendation is getting a little bit closer to 0.1 grams per kilogram. I was like, oh, 0.1 grams per kilogram. Okay. And so when that came out, I was thinking about that number-wise, and that ends up being quite a bit more than just 5 grams, especially for somebody who's a lot heavier. So that's kind of the new recommendation. If you're somebody who's been taking creatine, you're like, I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference, I would consider that, upping it a little bit. There are research studies shown with 80-year-old women who were taking up to 20 grams a day, and that's what they did for the cognition. So 20 grams a day, like if you take a ton of it, as long as you're not shitting your pants, technically you can take more, and as long as you don't have kidney problems. So there are people who are taking up to 20 grams. When you're doing the superloading phase, it's actually up to 20 grams a day. So something to consider as well. If you're somebody who has not seen too many benefits from creatine, or maybe you're not sure, add a little bit more. See if you get any benefits from it. Now, where this can be really helpful for Jiu Jitsu, obviously, is because the ATP process, we talked about the molecular stuff, energy systems are broken down into 3 major systems. You have your PCR system, creatine phosphate. You have your ATP, which is your glycolytic system, and then you have your fat oxidative system. So creatine kind of helps with the first 2, which is applicable because most jiu-jitsu matches are done within 5 minutes. I know some are longer, but where you really need your creatine storage is when you're doing those sprints, or if like a high cadence for a certain period of time. So for weightlifting or for jiu-jitsu, very, very, very applicable to use. Like I said, it's cheap. You can get it damn near anywhere. You can get it online. Legion offers it. Many companies make creatine. If I were to boil this down to a few simple points, get creatine monohydrate. Find a form that you like to take. Powder, gummies, capsules, whatever you want. And make sure to take about 3 to 5 grams a day. Or if you want to do the math, calculate it out to about 0.1 grams per kilogram. And take that much. If you want to start and be safe with it, maybe you're somebody who has a little bit more of a sensitive stomach, start at the lighter end. You can add a little bit more to it. If you start noticing you're having symptoms, dial it back, find that right amount for you. But always remember that supplementation is supposed to be exactly that, a supplement. Making sure that you're getting your whole foods, get your rest, making sure you're recovering, making sure you're doing your strength training, making sure you're doing your jiu-jitsu. This is not going to make your jiu-jitsu better. It's not steroids. It's just a supplement. Find some good quality products that are third-party tested and go from there. But that's what I got to say about creatine. A little bit of a shorter one today. If you guys need anything, if you have any questions, if you want to use my code SFSC at Legion, I'll put the link in the show notes. If you use that at checkout, that will save you 20% on your first order. And if you've already ordered with them before, you'll get double loyalty points moving forward. But I couldn't recommend creatine more. Take it every day. So should you, probably. Till next time, remember, pain is not something you should fear, just something you should respect. See you on the mats.
See ya.